Welcome in to the 100th episode of One Time for the Fan. I'm your special guest, Miles Garrett. Let's start the show.
One time for the fan, one time for the fan is your boy Jack Spade. We are back on the 100th episode of One Time for the Fan. Got the homie Bodie 3000 here with me, and of course, our special guest, our very good friend, Miles Garrett, the GOAT. What's up, man? How's everything going, Miles?
Doing pretty good, fellas. How y'all doing?
Can't call it, man. Great day to be a Falcons fan, man.
It is. Very good day to be a Falcons fan.
Falcon fans in the chat, Falcon fans listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get us, wherever you listen to us. Shout out to you all. For those of you watching here on YouTube or Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at, shout out to you all as well. We have a lot to talk about here on One Time for the Fan. Miles, every time you come back to the podcast, there's always something new going on with the Atlanta Falcons. And this is just an exciting time for Falcons fans because the draft is now done. And it's pretty much time to get to work. I mean, it's a lot is on paper, but time for these young cats and the team to get to the field shortly. But Bodie, how you been doing, brother?
Man, like I say, it's a great day. It's a great day. We got a great guest here. We finna break down this draft. I can't wait to hear what you got to say, Miles. It's gonna be a great show.
It definitely
Can't
is.
wait.
It definitely is. Falcon fans in the chat, definitely bring your questions, your comments to the chat. You know we love to read them on the screen. So definitely, we want to involve everybody tonight. So I know y'all have a lot of questions and a lot of comments about what happened with the draft. I know people's asking about the Jalen Carter question, so we'll definitely get that in somewhere tonight. Deshaun's in the chat once again. He always comes with some song lyrics, man. Deshaun's trying to be the next member of Southern Silk, man. He said, "Wish y'all want this party started off right. Y'all want this party started off quickly. Set it off 5-6 years. Y'all set it off 5-6 years. Man, Deshaun, you already know what it is, man. We lit.
Oh, man.
Lit.
On the left, on the right.
Miles, you trying to jam with us tonight? Because we got a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Keep them going.
So much going here.
I love it.
Ice Cold Wolf, peace and blessings, man. Peace and blessings to you, Ice Cold Wolf, as well. Let's see what we got here. Jeff Wolf. Already with another question, Jeff. We'll get to that question here shortly. Justin Newman, what's good? Got a lot going on. Jeremiah Williams, what's good? What's good? Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Special guest Miles Garrett, the GOAT, is with us. Eric Parker's in the chat too as well. Die Hard Atlanta Falcon fan, another podcast too as well. Positive podcast out here talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Out of your Falcon mind. So you just got to practice, but had to congratulate you guys on 100. Congrats to Miles on the Emmy nomination. Oh, yes. Miles to you as well, the Emmy nomination. Congrats to you.
Congrats.
Sir.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Please invite me to the after party. I'm sure you're going to get the
course.
He said, keep doing what you are doing. Much love. Looking forward to watching tomorrow. I believe that's probably John.
Yes, John.
Out of your fucking mind.
Yeah. Great show.
Haircut, Bodie, or product?
Oh, man. I would say it's well, I got more hair than him, I'm sure, so it's fine. It's fine. I don't know what happened to Jack there, but
it's just me and you. Here we go.
Nope.
So he pops right
Nope,
there
it's
again.
not. Nope, it's
He
not.
said,
I got the fat fingers, y'all. I'm sorry. I got fat fingers, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hit the wrong button there. Yeah, but haircut, Bodie, or product? What you got in there? That Soul Glow?
Oh no, man! These are natural fruits and berries. You didn't see?
Gosh,
you didn't see coming to America?
Where did you find that?
Yeah, what was that? That so
Glow, let it shine through. Yeah. Come on, man. That's that classic.
Special chocolate.
Don't get me started. Sexual chocolate.
Carrie's in the chat. She was with us on draft night too as well. She said, "What's up, Jack, Bodie, and Miles? Excited for the show tonight." It's a lot. It's a lot going on in the chat. Bring your questions, bring your comments. We'll talk about the draft. Sterling Woods is here. He said, "What's going on, everyone?" Well, shout out to Sterling Woods too as well.
Yes,
Keytrix is in the chat. Dan Burst is in the chat. It's a lot. So let's get straight to it. Miles, how do you think the Atlanta Falcons draft went in your opinion? Because a lot of fans have a lot to say about the first pick and the second pick, and you know, people always question what the Falcons do, especially right now in a position where we want to see the team win. People are excited for the offseason already with the free agents that came in and in the draft, but there was a lot of questions about some of the picks from Falcon fans. But just in your opinion, Emmy nominated too as well, Miles Garrett. Please let us know how you think the Falcons did with the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I will preface by saying that I think that it's always too early now to sort of get a full dissection on what I think the class is going to turn out to be, because we don't know. I mean, if you had asked me this after every draft class, I would have had a different opinion than what actually panned out with that draft class. That being said, I do love the pick of Bijan Robinson. I know there's a lot of Falcons fans out there who were a little upset at that pick. Cough, cough, a lot of Georgia fans specifically. For maybe another player who was on the board at that point. And it's hard to blame them, because you could argue that defensive tackle, defensive line, maybe edge rusher was a bigger need for this team. Maybe even defensive back was a bigger need for this team. But I think what the Atlanta Falcons and Terry Fontenot have shown, and this has become a theme now. It was a habit. Now it's a theme. They are taking the best player available on their board, no matter what position that is. Granted, it's worked out the last 2 seasons that maybe, I mean, Kyle Pitts may be an outlier because that was a year where they needed quite a little bit of everything, but he was just the best player on the board. Last year, Drake London, the first wide receiver taken. This year, you can make the argument Bijan Robinson was a top 3 player in this draft class, and they got him at pick number 8. That's tremendous value. Again, I know the Jalen Carter thing. I think the Falcons have added another theme to their arsenal of not adding any players whatsoever with any checkered past. I know the Deshaun Watson thing, that happened, but I think that outside of that whole Deshaun Watson scenario, they have a type for their players. They want guys who are completely bought into what they're doing with this rebuild, what Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot's vision is, the culture. Terry Fontenot preached this a lot when I interviewed him up in Indianapolis.
Combine.
Yeah, at the Combine, talking a lot about culture fit. And it's funny because interviewing Bijan Robinson, you could kind of get that sense of how he fits with these Atlanta Falcons. Because if you go into the Falcons locker room and you talk to these players, he does the players all have sort of a similar answer in regards to their buy-in for the team and their vision for the team. So it is similar in that regard. So overall, I think it was a great pick, doubling down on the running back position. And it isn't as much doubling down as a lot of people seem to think that it is, because they say the Falcons have running back. They have Tyler Algier. They have Cordell Patterson, Caleb Huntley. It's not as black and white as that. Cordell Patterson, wrong side of 30 years old for a running back. He still probably has some juice left in the tank, but we've seen the last 2 years, he has sort of trailed off at the end of the season. Caleb Huntley coming back from an Achilles injury. That is a very, very serious injury to come back from as a running back. So you have
and Avery Williams. You don't even play him much. I mean, you list him as a running back with these special teams, but you get a little flex plan every now and then with Avery. But he's not going to be your first, second, or third down going forward. So yeah,
absolutely. And you look at how this offense is designed. It is a run-first offense. So you want to have the best possible player lining up at running back for that role. And Arthur Smith said this in the press conferences afterwards. He's not just going to be lining up in those running back roles. I think the Falcons are going to use Bijan Robinson much like the 49ers used Deebo Samuel. I think he's going to be a flex player. He's going to be out of the backfield. He's going to be catching passes. I think he's going to be doing a little bit of everything. So you have a lot of positionless football. They're going to be playing a lot of different formations where they're going to just pound it down your throat. And I think that it's a huge reflection of what this offense is, because defenses nowadays are not built to handle smash mouth football. They're built to handle those passing attacks. I think Arthur Smith's offense is kind of rare in today's NFL outside of maybe the 49ers who do run the ball more than other teams. So those are all my thoughts. I know I'm probably missing a couple things on the
you're doing well. I mean, this is why you're Emmy nominated. I mean, you're really
get out of here.
Doing good here. But Arthur Smith, my question to you is him coaching with this style of a run-first offense in a pass-heavy league. I mean, people talked about that so much where this is a passing league first, and then you kind of run after that. But he wants to take the plan differently and use the run-first approach. It worked last season. You added Bijan Robinson. Is this really the impact that they needed with Bijan Robinson? I mean, can he really add to the backfield? I mean, could it have got another running back in the third round who can do the same impact as Bijan, or no, you had to go get the number one running back in college football?
Well, I think you could get a running back that you like. I mean, a value. I mean, I actually thought Jahmyr Gibbs would maybe be available in the second round. I didn't realize he'd be taken as high as he would be. I don't think anyone did for that matter. But I think it just goes back to positional rankings. Like Bijan Robinson, again, you're picking at pick number 8. Who all is on the board right now? You're not going to trade back. You're not going to trade up. Who right here is the top guy on your board? If I had to theoretically think of that board, I would assume Jalen Carter and Bijan Robinson would be those top 2 guys because overall, they're generally considered top 3, top 5 players overall for what this draft class was. So because of that, I don't see why you don't take it, because I said this before the draft. I think the Falcons were in a very good spot in that I could understand an argument for almost every single position on the board if you took it. Like if they drafted a cornerback, I could understand it. If they drafted a quarterback, even I don't agree with drafting a quarterback, but if they did, I could see.
We understand. Yes.
Yeah, like there was an argument for almost every single position on the board, which is a great place to be if you don't have a huge glaring specific need. I think the Falcons handled a lot of their business in free agency on the defensive side of the ball, getting guys like Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, David Onyemata on the defensive line on the interior. So there's a lot of guys they added on that side. There's going to be a lot of cuts on that side of the ball too. So you have to consider that. And then you add a top player like Bijan Robinson. I think that this offense, you're going to see it taking to new heights, because I think we saw 2 different things these first 2 seasons. The first season with Arthur Smith, Matt Ryan was there. They were passing the ball a little bit more than they did this past season with Marcus Mariota, because naturally Matt Ryan is a better passing quarterback. Whereas Marcus Mariota, you had more of an option to run the ball. He's a bit more of a running quarterback. So the offense changed as a result. I think Desmond Ridder, you're going to have more of that balance that Arthur Smith has been looking for the last 2 years, where he does have options. He is a game manager. He now has threats with Drake London, Matt Collins, Scotty Miller, and Bijan Robinson as well. He's got a lot of toys to play with here, and a lot of
Jonnu Smith as well too.
Jonnu Smith, exactly. So there's the options.
Falcon fans, bring your questions, bring your comments to the chat. See, a lot of y'all are just getting them in. We're going to get everything as much as we can here. One more question for you, Miles. Bodie, I know you got a quick. Go ahead, Bodie. Go ahead.
I do. Yeah,
I got a million questions too, man.
I know you do. I know you do. It's my turn. It's my turn. Okay, you can't have it all.
All right, Bodie, you got it.
Let's have a little fun here, Miles.
Let's go.
Will Bijan Robinson break Tyler Allgeier's rookie rushing record this season? In your opinion?
That's a very good question, and
for fantasy football folks,
I'm going to say no, but I will say I think he's going to have more all-purpose.
I love that.
I think he's going to almost split what he does rushing as he does receiving. I think he's going to be used a hell of a lot more catching balls than people think he's going to. So, and whether that is classified as a run, I'm not sure. I think there'll be a lot of plays where, it'll be a toss to him, but it would be technically classified as a forward pass or something of that nature. I'm going to temper my expectations. Do I think he has the ability? 100%. I mean, he's the most talented running back to come out since Saquon Barkley, in my opinion. So based on a talent perspective and what Arthur Smith's schemes are able to do, I have no doubt that he could if he's used that way and he stays healthy. I just think that they're going to get really super creative with how they use Bijan this year.
Agreed. I think I agree with that totally. I think that it's going to be a super balance. I mean, you have a 1,000-yard rusher last year, like with Allgeier. So, we're not just throwing him, pushing him to the side. I think it's definitely gonna be a balance. And then we got CP. It's just
They have the
so many
ability to keep him
things.
fresh too if they want.
Exactly.
They don't need to overuse him.
Exactly, and that's the thing. And hopefully he's not blocking most of the time like Kyle Pitts has been for the last year.
Falcon fans, bring your questions, bring your comments to the chat. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. We're gonna get to the draft recap here shortly. We're gonna split the screen and go to the Falcons website real quick and show all the picks, and we'll talk about this here shortly. But Miles, real quick for you on Terry. I've heard a lot of other GMs in the league say one thing and then go a different route. You've interviewed Terry a lot of times. Has he stuck to the plan from what you heard from day one? Or is it kind of like, they're kind of going different routes, they're leading the media a different direction and they go this way? I mean, from what you hear in the interviews when you're talking to him, you're questioning him, does he sound like, this is the route that they're going with the Falcons, they're going to stick to this route, and it's like they're dead on with it. They're spot on with what they're doing?
I will say this about Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith, because they are very much on the same page about this. They do not like to give anything away what they're doing.
Yes.
To that extent, though, I highly recommend reading an article. I believe it was posted by Jeff Schultz with The Athletic, talking about I believe it was a one-on-one interview with Arthur Blank. And that was the most telling to me, because in that interview, Arthur Blank revealed what that plan had been all along, and what that plan is makes complete sense for what this team has done over the course of, I guess, now 3 years. You can say leading up to the last 2 years. But in that article, what he says is when they first took the job, it was a matter of basically staying afloat for the first 2 years. We're going to put together a very competitive football team, the best that we can with the salary cap restraints. I mean, Arthur Blank knew it. Everyone knew the restraints that this team had over the last 2 seasons. And I think you saw that. I mean, especially last year, there were so many predictions. Falcons are going to go 2-15. It's going to be the worst team in the league. And every single game, no matter what opponent it was, maybe outside of that Cincinnati game, they were in it every single time. Right up until the last drive, probably. It was almost weird how much it was coming down to the last drive. But again, that's what was said there. Arthur Blank mentioned that it was going to be a 3-year process, to where now this 3rd year is where we see that big jump, because now you add 9 players on defense. You finally have an offense that is put together the way you want it. You no longer have Matt Ryan. You don't have the stopgap quarterback anymore. We don't know what Desmond Ridder has to offer yet, but he was drafted by this regime, and they have said they trust him going forward. You have your weapons now over 3 years now that you've spent first-round picks as an investment on this offense. You have Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and now Bijan Robinson, and a rookie from last year who rushed for over 1,000 yards. So this offense is tailor-made to what this regime wanted. You re-signed Chris Lindstrom to a record deal. You re-signed Jake Matthews. You re-signed Caleb McGarry. This offense is now this regime's. On the defensive side of the ball, it's all guys you've added basically in one offseason. I mean, granted, there's some other guys that have been stayaways, but Richie Grant took over after sitting a year. You saw what he did last year, performed very well. You take on AJ Terrell's 5th-year option. That's another reflection of this regime. Jesse Bates now in the secondary. You add Jeff Okudah, Mike Hughes, David Onyemata. I can go on and on. Troy Anderson started the last 4 games as a rookie. Will probably start this year. You re-signed Grady Jarrett. I mean, it goes all over the board. This team is now this regime. For the last 2 years, we haven't been able to say that, because it's just been 1-year rentals, 2-year rentals, guys who have come in just to field that competitive team, like Arthur Blank was saying. And you saw they went 7-10 2 years in a row the past 2 years. I think this is the first year where we actually see what Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot have actually been putting together, because now they've actually been able to.
Bodie,
that's big.
A lot already in the first 20 minutes, man. We haven't even got to the
we didn't get to the second pick
yet.
Yeah, I think let's go ahead and go to the next pick, because I got questions for him about our next pick.
Sure.
Well, we do have some. Let's go to the chat here. See what the chat's doing. Got Matthew Batts in the chat. He said, "Rise up, fellas." Got some diehard Atlanta Falcon fans in here. I mean, it's always good to talk with the Atlanta Falcon fans. Pamela Johnson said Bijan was Arthur's pick all along.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Is that an Arthur pick? I mean, fans usually say that, oh, that's a Nielsen pick. That's a offensive pick. That's our coach.
I 1000% believe that Zach Harrison is a Nielsen pick.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
He said, yeah, y'all go get me him. That's how I feel.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, because for the longest time, I was thinking because I had a pick for a while that I thought they had a vibe that maybe they were going to go after a guy like Lucas Van Ness, because to me, Van Ness fit what Nielsen is as a defensive coordinator. So in that regard, I thought he was going to be that. Because yeah, I agree with you. Zach Harrison does very much seem like a Ryan Nielsen pick. And of course, I mean, it's hard to say that Bijan isn't an Arthur pick because it's his offense. He's a prototype running back. How do you not say that's Arthur Smith? So who knows who it actually was, but I mean, it's hard to think it wasn't.
Justin Newman got a question for you, Miles. Who do you think was an interesting pick in the draft and why for the Falcons?
Interesting pick. That's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of, not speaking, I won't say myself, but I think the consensus among a lot of Falcons fans, based on what I've seen on Twitter, the head scratcher seemed to be Matthew Bergeron because of where he was taken, the trade up to get him when, there was guys like Keon White available at a Georgia Tech, the defensive end who, also Brian Branch, another guy from Alabama who supposedly there was interest in. But I think Matthew Bergeron, I guess maybe I hope this is a segue into the second pick that they had. But I think with Bergeron, you see the investment again with this offense. And also not only that, they released video today, the Dallas Cowboys, of their first round pick at pick 26. They were between Bergeron and I forgot the guy they picked, Mazi Smith.
Mazi Smith was a guy from Michigan State or Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan.
Yeah.
So those are two players right there. And the Dallas Cowboys are very, very good at drafting offensive linemen. They've had a history of it the last 6 years. So the consensus seemed to be on Twitter, like, you could have stayed put at pick 42 and got Matthew Bergeron. What are you doing? Like, people don't understand NFL draft boards. Like, you see picks made by analysts and people on social media, Mel Kiper. You don't actually know where these guys are stacking up on draft boards. Who had Jahmyr Gibbs going 12 overall?
And Devin Witherspoon going 5th too.
Devin Witherspoon going 5th.
Yeah, and Christian Gonzalez dropping back to 18. I think it was.
Darnell Washington falling down to where he fell. I mean,
that Iowa linebacker going.
The Bears selecting the tackle from where was that? Tennessee.
Yeah. Michael Mayer falling into the second round. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of players that if it was by Twitter and by all these mock drafts you see, you would be like, oh, of course that makes sense. But you don't actually know where these players are, what analysts, what coaching staffs have seen. So that would be my response to a lot of the people on Twitter. Again, this is where I see most of the reactions to Falcons picks on Twitter. But that would be my reaction to them, is that this team has a vision for what they're doing. They traded up, meaning they wanted this guy. They had a vision for trying to get this guy. There was a lot of reports the Falcons were trying to trade back into the first round. I think it's pretty clear they were looking to get this guy. Dallas was considering taking him at 26. So just wait and see, Falcons fans. Who knows? I mean, you've got Jalen Mayfield. You still don't know what he's got to deal with. So maybe this guy is the replacement for Jalen Mayfield. We don't know. But
this young man plays tackle, guard, and center, apparently. He's kind of like Peter Skronsky in a way.
Positionless football. Bijan Robinson's going to be playing wide receiver a little bit. You got to love to see it. There's positionless football all over the field.
And that's what I think got people caught up, is that people's like, oh, he took a running back. He took a running back. They just keep saying running back.
You took a baller.
He is not a runner. You took a weapon.
Yes. Kyle Pitts, same thing.
Exactly. Weapon. He can go all over the field. And one more thing I want to ask you before we get into the next one. And that's my thing about the Bergeron pick. We don't know. Like,
you don't know.
Teams build a chemistry with players. Like, they went to the Senior Bowl. I almost guarantee they fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl.
They love the Senior Bowl, man. The Falcons staff loves the Senior Bowl.
They went there and they probably went head over heels for Matthew Bergeron. They
almost guarantee it.
Yeah, because they coached. We was there coaching, right? The team.
Yes.
And they saw him firsthand, and they saw him do all the drills and stuff. You just don't know. That's why
we don't know anything. We don't know anything. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
People don't understand that. We truly don't. I remember seeing people. I remember seeing people criticize the Chris Lindstrom pick back in the day. It's like,
I remember that
Boston College.
The video at the draft when everybody was his son
blocking?
sitting at the bands. Yeah.
but it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. But that's my thing. I have to get people to understand that, but they just see a name, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know who he was either.
Who was watching Matthew Bergeron highlights? No one.
I was
like,
wasn't on my big board, especially at that pick going into the second round. That wasn't on my board.
Yeah. So shout out to the Falcons for keeping that secret.
They do their draft due diligence pretty well. I mean,
they keep it very close to the chest.
They do. They do. And this is the question too about, of course, with the trade. Jeff Wolf wants to know, with many holes needed to be filled, what was thinking of your opinion of giving up a fourth where a legitimate player could have been had to move up a few spots? I mean, would you think, Miles, would you have traded up in that opinion, or would you have stayed at 44 if you was in the war room?
It's hard for me to even know, because who would I have picked? I probably would have gone like a guy like Keon White, because I really liked what I saw from him. But again, they see something that I don't. They have a plan for this roster that I have no idea what that plan is. They have a schematic fit for this. They wanted this guy. So who am I to say that they should have stayed put when they have a clear plan? I'm sure if we were putting a team together in the NFL, I figured we'd have a plan. We want this player to go here. We want this to do that. Like going into the draft, we want to make sure we're able to get this guy at this spot for the value. So maybe we'd have a different guy for that, but this is their guy. So, I mean, if you ask me, I probably would have drafted Keon White, but I don't know. That's the thing. You have no idea what their plan is for him.
Yeah, and I want to double down on that. I mean, it just,
go ahead, Bodie.
It makes sense. When the Falcons want their guy, why not? You know, for all the draft is a crapshoot, okay? The entire draft. I mean, from the first pick all the way down. So if you see a guy, you want him and you scouted him, he's high on your board, why not give up the fourth? You know, so I mean, it's a fourth, you know,
especially considering that you gave up. So basically, your 7th round pick was Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your 5th
round pick was Okudah. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it in that lens, then that's your draft.
Yeah. Sterling Woods is worried about getting another Mayfield. Do you think Bergeron's another Mayfield?
Well, I mean, again, it's another thing that's hard to know, you know, and who knows? Jalen Mayfield may have actually turned a corner himself. I mean, he basically didn't play last year because of injury. I mean, he granted, I'm sure they had some other plans as well, but maybe a full off season of recovering and learning is good for Jalen Mayfield. I don't know. Maybe he ends up getting cut. I have no idea what their plans are right now, but it's I'm going to be honest with y'all. It's hard to dissect someone who I probably have seen the same amount of footage of him as you guys have. So it's very difficult to dissect a rookie.
Still doing some more footage right now. Falcons fans, of course, the first pick was Bijan Robinson. Second pick, Matthew Bergeron. Bodie, what was just your thoughts about Bergeron? I know you got some notes too as well. But the professor always does a good job every time he shows up to the podcast, man. So it's always good to have Bodie here, man. What you got on Bergeron, man? Because as soon as he was selected, Falcon fans said, "Whoop, there's your guard. There's your guard."
Yeah.
And
I would say Falcons fans said that there's our guard, because, like I said, Falcons fans here didn't know who he was. So
they're still stuck on that day one with the Philadelphia moves and the Georgia situation. So when they saw that pick second round, they were like, "What is going on here?"
Well, we can go on that till the cows come home. But my thing is, I mean, Bergeron, I mean, like I said, they saw their guy, they went and got him. They traded up for him. It is what it is. I mean, this guy he has a 9.82 RAS score. Like, that's out of guards has been selected from 1987 to 2023. That's 26th out of 1,423 guards. Like, just think about it. Now, that's the athletic score, right? He's just an athletic marvel. He's a mauler. He's a road grader. He's different. And the thing I hear about is just his hands are way better than Mayfield's hands were coming out. I mean, it's just a little. He's just a little more. Got a little more to him. You know what I'm saying? He's a little more edge. So I mean, after doing my research and after being like every other Falcon fan, not knowing exactly who this guy was, I figured out that, hey, I mean, you trade up for him, you pick him in the second round. They expect him to, you know, go in there and really compete. They're trying to pencil him as a starter.
If he's a second round pick, you're expecting him to start.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. The Falcons are going to say he's going to compete, but they expect him to start in their head. They expect him to start.
But you also have to keep in mind as well, like you look back 2 seasons ago, Richie Grant, second round pick, didn't really play his first year, but he played a hell of a lot last year and he impressed quite a bit.
Yeah. So shout out to Richie Grant.
Falcon fans, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Round 3, Zach Harrison. Miles. Fans, once again, started hitting up Twitter, Facebook groups. Pretty much the question was why? Why are the Falcons going this route now after selecting the running back in the first round? The offensive lineman who's now probably going to be your guard in the second round. Then they said, oh, third round, you guys go get your edge rusher. Is this a Ryan Nielsen pick right here, Miles, in your opinion?
I do think it's a Ryan Nielsen pick, and I do think it's great value. And you look at the prospect. When I look at Zach Harrison, he's a guy that really picked up a lot of steam the tail end of the season. He did really, really well against Georgia, mind you.
Yes,
he made a lot of plays in the back. I remember seeing him, in fact, in that game.
I did.
Where he was making plays. And again, I always say this. Look at where the Falcons' edge rushers are right now. You're going to have Calais Campbell starting. You're going to have Bud Dupree starting. You're also going to mix in the second-year development of guys that you drafted last year. Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, who've had a full year. Arnold Ebiketie had a great rookie season. I think a lot of people tend to forget that. He missed out on just a couple plays. He was making plays in the backfield. So Zach Harrison can afford to sit and learn for a little bit. He doesn't have to go in there and start right away. I know fans get so anxious. It's like, oh, third round pick, he must be the starter because we need an edge rusher. I don't see room for him currently right now. Do I see room for him in maybe a year and a half, 2 years? Hell yeah, I do. Because what better teacher do you have than, of course, Ryan Nielsen? He's the guy that it's learning from, but you're also learning from potentially future Hall of Famer Calais Campbell. You're learning from Bud Dupree, who's been in the league for quite a while. Grady Jarrett, of course. Guys who were rookies last year in this system, Arnold Ebiketie and D'Angelo Malone. So all that, David Onyemata, all these things considered, I think it's a great value for him, especially with his body type. He's raw. He's big. He's a Ryan Nielsen type guy that could fit into that Cam Jordan role. Let him sit and let him learn.
Bodie, Zach Harrison, Falcons fan, bring your questions to the chat. Bring your comments to the chat. Of course, we're going to get them on the screen. Bodie, Zach Harrison, your thoughts on that? Please, you got some notes for us here, brother.
Yeah. Well, basically, my thing about Zach Harrison is, I mean, you said it all. You said it all. I mean, he's just a project guy. He's raw, but the talent is there. They see it. I mean, he's going to come in. He's going to learn. He's learning from the best. Some of the best with Grady and Calais and stuff like that. Like, he's going to learn how to play this game, and that's the thing. I think fans are expecting us to just go out and get a 10+ sack guy. They're just thinking that's just what we do, right? Like, we just come in and we just, we gotta go get a 10 sack guy or it's a failure. I think that's the whole mindset of this. And that's why they were so all over the Jalen Carter thing, but they didn't realize Jalen Carter isn't a 10 sack guy. Probably never will be.
He's interior defensive line.
Exactly. So that's my thing. I mean, but that's mixed in with the Georgia fandom and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
Hell, I'm a Georgia fan too.
I mean, if we're doing edge rusher, then Nolan Smith's the guy.
Thank you. That's the thing. Now you can turn. He looked like he can turn into a 10 sack guy, and he might have been a Nielsen guy too. But you never know. He didn't make it down to us. But Harrison. He fits the mold, like I said. Nielsen has turned a special teams guy like Caden Ellis into what he is. Okay. He came in that people don't know. Caden Ellis came into the season last year, pretty much special teams. And somebody got hurt. I don't know exactly who. I don't keep up with them, but somebody got hurt and Caden Ellis had to play. Yeah, they suck. Somebody got hurt and he came in and he just thrived in the system. He turned a Trey Hendrickson, a later round draft pick, into what he is today. It was an animal. It's just a perfect project for Nielsen. That's what the first thing I saw when I saw his name pop on our screen was that he is just that project. Don't you agree?
Are you talking to me? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I should have led with your name.
No, no, absolutely, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think we're both on the same page in that regard. He's got time to learn. He's got time to learn from the best, and if he's molded correctly, like Ryan Nielsen, has molded others like Caden Ellis, then who's to say he won't be that edge rusher for us in the future?
Absolutely.
Falcon fans in the chat. Justin Newman. Miles, he said, I heard we dropped Mayfield and Huntley after the draft. Is that true?
It is not.
No.
It's not true, Justin Newman. Don't know what Reddit forum you're looking at over there. Anthony White. Great show, fellas. Appreciate coming on the show here, Miles, man. Everybody's just always glad anytime Miles comes on the show, man. You and Big Country, like top 2 guests of all time. I mean, everybody just loves it. Every time I say Miles gonna be on the show, Miles gonna be on the show, man, people just everybody's in the chat. Look at this. Berto's in here. Come on now. 95 North Talk Show, another diehard Atlanta Falcon podcast out here. Shout out to Alberto, and of course shout out to Smitty too as well. Let's go over here to the next round here, which I think is probably the best pick outside of Bijan Robinson, Clark Phillips III. This young man right here gets after it. Miles, in your opinion, was this a good pick right here, especially being in the 4th round? A lot of people didn't think you'd be back there.
We are talking about the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year in the 4th round.
Sad.
That was tremendous value. Some guys had him as a 2nd round pick. We got him in the 4th round. Granted, I know there's some size concerns. He's about 5'9", maybe a little bit on the lighter side. He played in the Pac-12, but I think that's tremendous value for what you're getting, especially the way the defensive back room is set up right now. You got Sure Things and AJ. Hopefully Jeff Okudah morphs back into that 2nd overall pick. Jesse Bates and Richie Grant filling out the safety positions. But outside of that, you got Mike Hughes. And ideally, you want another guy to more or less step into where Casey Hayward left. Because granted, that cornerback room, you don't quite know what you're going to get. You don't know
right now too as well going into camp. I think it's like 12 or 13 cornerbacks.
It's going to be a crowded room. There's going to be some cuts. I mean, whether that's Cornell Armstrong, whether that's Mike Hughes, whether it's Clark Phillips, who knows? I doubt that they'd cut a rookie like that. But
I got my money on D. Alford making the 53, man. That's my guy, man. D. Alford, man.
We love D. D is the local
D
guy, preseason god. We love D. Alford.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. But as far as the 4th round is concerned, I don't think you can do much better than Clark Phillips.
Bodie?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Clark Kent. Clark Phillips.
Clark Kent. Yeah, he's going to be Clark Kent for us. He's, I mean, unanimous 1st team All-American in the 4th round. I mean, like you said, Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Like, this. I mean, that's the thing. Do you really think that the size is going to matter, Miles? Like, do you really think it's going to be that big of a problem for him? And that's teams are really worried. I guess it's scheme related or whatnot. But do you really feel like his size would be his detriment?
I don't think so, and because I really think the size thing is more of just a sort of an NFL. It's like the quarterback position, right? Like everyone wants their quarterback to be 6 foot or higher. That's why it's at the combine. It's always such a big deal. It's like, how tall are they? Are they 5'11" or are they below that height standard? I think the same thing kind of goes for the cornerback position, and honestly, to a less important degree, because you don't need to be 6'2" to be a great quarterback. Now, may it be a problem if you're lining up against Calvin Johnson, who's 6'5" and can jump over you? Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't think Clark Phillips, where they drafted him, and especially where their defensive back room is now, is number 1 cornerback. I hope he is. Maybe he doesn't turn out to be that way. But if he's drafted in the 4th round based on how the cornerback room is, that's a hell of an option to be lining up against the slot guy. I mean, who's going to be against the speedy guy? He's very fast. Someone's got to be lining up against that 3rd option. That could be him conceivably. So I'm sure schematically they'll line him up in a position where ideally he won't fail. I don't think Ryan Nielsen or I forgot the new defensive backs coach, Gray.
Jerry Gray.
Gray
will have him in a position where he's looking 7 inches up right now at the wide receiver he's lining up against. I think that'd be more of a guy AJ Terrell would be covering. So I think it's all schematics.
Exactly. That's my thing. I mean, I feel like, if you can play, you can play. And, it's just, he's not going to face 6'5", 4.3 speed guys every receiver isn't that. So
no.
That's my thing. I mean, him sliding to the 4th, of course, if he was 6'2", with his skills, he would have probably.
You want to avoid a
I don't expect him.
situation
Go ahead,
like we
Miles.
saw. We want to avoid a situation like you saw in
Cincinnati when
where Cornell Armstrong was lining up against Jamar Chase, because I think even the hardest Falcons fans are like, oh, like he's doing the best he can.
Yeah,
I was there.
Poor
I was
guy.
there. It was a tough game and a tough drive back from Cincinnati.
Like I was watching that, like bless his heart. Like this isn't his fault. He's not supposed to be lining up against Jamar Chase.
It was just, a series of unfortunate events. It just happened that way.
Justin Newman with another question, another comment here in the chat. He said Phillips was a great pickup, but height can be a problem. By the way he plays, won't be a problem. Look back when we had Brent Grimes.
I'm glad Justin brought this up. I just posted this to my YouTube channel. Actually, I had a long conversation with actor Corbin Miles about the Falcons. He's a big Falcons fan, and he actually made the Brent Grimes comparison. And I thought that was a really good one because Grimes was very small. He just had an insane vertical when he was jumping up to get some of those balls. So that's a good comparison.
Yes. The only reason I remember that is because he had a 97 vertical in Madden back in the day.
That's and a very, very loud wife, I would say.
That too. She's still loud, by the way. It's crazy.
Falcon fans, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Sitting over here with Miles Garrett now, talking about the 2023 draft class of the Atlanta Falcons. Spoke a little bit about Bijan Robinson, Matthew Bergeron, Zach Harrison, Clark Phillips III. And now we go to a player from Alabama, which Georgia fans were like, you didn't go Georgia, you went Alabama. And then he went into the 7th round. DeMarco Hellams.
Yes.
Which some will say he has to fight for a roster spot here.
He will.
With the Falcons. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts right now, Miles, with DeMarco Hellams being selected in the 7th round?
You see, this is the problem when it starts getting this late is because I don't really know a whole lot about these guys when it starts getting into this late of territory, unless it's like there was some college superstar. Mm-hmm. Do I like the value of getting an Alabama safety this late in the draft? Hell yeah. But at the same time, he's going to have to fight for a roster spot, and I don't really know how well he'll do. I don't. We're not going to realize that until he performs in camp. I guarantee you he will be a special teams guy. Guys drafted that late, it's almost a foregone conclusion that they will be. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to act like I have all the knowledge of their 7th round pick right now because I really don't. I'd have to sort of watch him in action. But on paper, I certainly love getting a defensive back from Alabama, no matter where they're picked.
That's true. That's true.
And I certainly love to get the leading tackler. He was the 3rd safety from what I read. But the leading tackler of that Alabama defense last year. That's crazy. But like I said, you go to the 7th for a reason. He has his flaws, but he's not perfect. But he will, like you said, he'll fight for special teams. So I wish him well.
He's gonna have to compete with the great Felipe Franks to earn some reps.
Yeah, maybe he'd be gunner number 2 next to
don't want to laugh too loud. Going over the guard spot though, Miles. Not just to get away from DeMarco Hellams, just real quick. Justin Schaefer, he's gonna have to compete going into camp too as well. I mean, is it possible that he can even make the 53?
He's gonna have to fight for it. I will say. I do think he is. Again, we're gonna see a lot of cuts, guys. We're gonna see so many cuts to guys that we probably aren't even expecting to get cut. Especially on defense. Schaefer's definitely going to have to fight for his spot because he was already no sure thing last season. Yeah. So, this year you're just adding even more guys in the mix. Do they give up on a guy like Mayfield? Do they give up on a guy like Schaefer? Who knows? I mean, does Matt Hennessy get cut? We don't know. I mean, there's a whole bunch of competition that's going on right now. And we're frankly not even going to know until the preseason hits because guess what? There's going to be even more guys added to the fold, I'm sure, at that point as new signings. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to get cut. There's going to be so many things. So, again, I'd love to give a great answer on May the 1st, but frankly, I really can't. But it's going to be a very interesting training camp.
Just with some of the undrafted free agents they brought in, some of the walk-ons. They had Akini and Nekugwa from Rice. Defensive lineman, Killian Harris from Oklahoma Baptist, wide receiver, Mike Jones Jr. from LSU, linebacker, Xavier Malone, wide receiver from Henderson State, a player who a lot of Falcon fans are excited for, Justin Marshall
from
Buffalo. 6'3" wide receiver, and of course Carlos Washington Jr., the running back from Southeast Louisiana. Justin Marshall, after watching some of his tape, because Falcon fans put me on game, this kid is like explosive.
He's good. Big fan of what I saw.
Is
from
it
him.
something that is he a player that we could possibly see make the 53? I mean, I know you have to make the cuts now after the third preseason game, right? This year, right? I think the rules have changed where
I'm not quite sure. I'd have to officially kind of fact check that. I don't have the official answer on that.
Okay.
But I mean, on paper, Justin Marshall fits what the Falcons like to a T. 6'3". I think he's like around 220, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He fits the mold of the Arthur Smith receiver. You look at what you got with Matt
crazy.
Kyle Pitts, all those guys.
Ball catching skills is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's another room that is going to be extremely competitive with Drake, Mac, Scotty, Jared Bernhardt, Frank Darby. Now you got Justin Marshall in the fold. There's so many guys in there that you're gonna. I mean, one of them is gonna have to make a special teams impact in order to keep their spot on the roster.
Stevie Correga, I got a feeling that Darby is getting cut with the sad face.
Yeah,
I love me some Frank Darby. Great guy. Same thing happened to him last year, I believe. I think he did get cut at one point, and then got added back or from the practice squad. So he will be something to monitor for sure. But Frank definitely will have to step his game up if he wants to stay on the team, because that receiving room is getting very crowded.
That is true. Bodie, final thoughts on DeMarco Hellams here with the Falcons?
Yeah. I mean, I already spoke on him basically, but I mean, Hellams, and I guess are we talking about Gwen too?
We're about to get to Gwen next. He's the last pick for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, but I mean, Hellams, like, he's gonna be battling. Like I said, he led the team in tackles last year, so he'll be in the mix. We'll see how it goes. It's just hard to speak on.
Yeah, it is. It's so early.
it's hard.
Seems to be the same for Jovan Gwynn too as well. 7th round pick. He's definitely got to come in here and fight for a spot. But another offensive lineman the Falcons have added to the mix. Miles, anything on Jovan? I mean, I know it gets to the point where 7th round, I don't know if you have too much film on the guys or, just, yeah.
I mean, no, I'm not gonna say he's not gonna make the roster, but I'm sure they can find some good film on me out there playing.
Yeah, right.
Got
your page still out there.
Hey, I'm not doodling on them. I'm just saying, But I mean, all these guys are definitely talented. I mean, I want to see all of them succeed, but we know that isn't going to happen. And I mean, we're bringing in undrafted free agents. Last year, I think a good 3 of them. I know Nathan Landman made the roster last year. Bernhardt stuck around, I think, practice squad. Timothy Horn, he actually made the 53, if I'm not mistaken.
He was, I think it was practice squad. Then they brought him on after the Anthony Rush.
Yeah, I know, because Rush got let go. Yeah, he needed to get let go. But yeah, it was like I feel so much better now. But yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be competitive. I think we're gonna bring in some good undrafted free agents too, and it's just gonna be a show.
So Miles, looking at the roster right now, the Falcons have their starting 11 on both sides of the ball, or are we looking for some spots in camp where another player might come up and take a spot randomly? Scotty Miller could become the wide receiver too randomly, or Mac Hollins gets cut. Do we see the 11 on both sides already? Because people would say Falcons D-line is ready, the cornerbacks are there, secondary is ready. The linebacker situation I'm kind of looking at with Troy Anderson. Is it Michael Walker? Are they going to resign Rashawn Evans? What do you see right now with the roster?
That's another thing to be paying attention to. I think Rashawn Evans is a guy they want to bring back. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But I do think they want him back on this team. If that happens, I think Michael Walker might be a guy that you're looking for as someone who could potentially be cut, because he had his moments last year where he would disappear a little bit. Again, whether that is true. A him thing, a schematic thing, I don't see them giving up on Troy Anderson like that, especially at him starting the last 4 games of the season. I think there's a lot of potential. I love Troy Anderson. I think there's a lot of untapped potential with Troy. And I saw so many flashes of it last year where he'd be not in every play, but he'd be involved in every play. Like you just always saw him around the football. And I think that's what you love to see out of a guy who is 1 year out of Montana State.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the linebacker room plays out. But yeah, I mean, even the defensive line, like, does Ade Ogundeji make the team? I mean, that's another guy
question we talked about too. Same for Taekwon Graham too as well, right? And some.
Yep, I think TQ is pretty safe because how well he did last year before he got hurt.
He did.
Also, they took his input when they drafted Bijan. When we interviewed Arthur Smith about what was a difference maker, he specifically mentioned TQ giving a good review about Bijan Robinson. So
from going to Texas too as well, because that's right.
Texas connection. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps that's a leap of faith in Taekwon Graham. Maybe that's just me looking too much into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think there was a lot of good things from Taekwon Graham before he did get hurt, to where I wouldn't necessarily say he's in danger, of getting cut. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. Again, that receiver room's one to watch. I mean, the running back room could be one to watch. Does Caleb Huntley make the team? It took him until final cuts last year to make the team. Now with the running back room the way it is, does he get
coming
cut?
back from injury too as well?
Exactly. Like, do they stick with a guy like Avery Williams because of what he can offer special teams wise? That might be another factor, because say it comes down to those two. It's like, okay, like, which one do we keep on the roster? The guy who can return kicks or the guy who can only do running back? They'll probably side with the guy who can return kicks, and albeit return kicks very well.
Yeah.
Bodie, got a question? I got some more, man. I mean, I don't want to hold Miles up too much, and we've got a couple more minutes here. We're not going to go too much past 9 o'clock. But Bodie, got anything?
Oh, I mean, mostly I just wanted to give my observations of, like, only thing I see on that starting, and maybe there'll be a wide receiver shakeup. Maybe we'll pick up a Corey Davis or something like that.
That's my question. That's my question right there.
Something like that. So go ahead and ask your question. Segue.
I mean, the wide receiver room, some would say, is it Mac Hollins at number 2? And then the Jets might release Corey Davis June 1st. A lot of Falcon fans were talking about that. Is it possible, Miles, that Corey Davis could be a Falcon here soon? I mean, he's an Arthur Smith guy from Tennessee. They had the connection, they had the ties, and he would then be your wide receiver too. Bodie was looking more so. You have Bijan, you have Pitts. The way the offense is running, you don't know who the wide receiver 2 is, because it's going to be so many things going on that offense. I mean, do you have to bring in a Corey Davis at this moment?
You don't have to, and I do think they kind of like where they're at right now. Otherwise, I think we would have seen them make other moves. But that being said, this regime does have a history of signing guys they are familiar with, a la Jonnu Smith and the guys on defense that Ryan Nielsen coached, all those kinds of things. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they sign a guy like Corey Davis if he gets released. In fact, I'm sure everyone will mock him to Atlanta if he does get released, analysts alike. But it's hard to sort of figure that out, because, again, I do think if they had a pressing need or they felt like they needed to address it, it would have been addressed already. So you get a guy like Mac Hollins, I think, is your number 2 officially, if you kind of label it that way. Do I think Kyle Pitts is basically your receiver now? Yes. Again, he's the Bijan Robinson for your receiver tight end type thing. So is Bijan Robinson even a receiver? That's what I keep telling people, is that the positions aren't as black and white as it may look. It's like the Falcons don't have their wide receiver 2. It's like they don't really theoretically
Pitts could be the wide receiver 2, the way he's going to be in the pass catching role.
Pitts could be a wide receiver 2. Bijan could do it. Patterson could be that now. I mean, there's
who
so
you get
many,
the ball to. Yes.
Yeah, you have options. It's not like you have a wide receiver 2 exactly. So there's just so many ways they can go.
But a lot of people love to see the wide receiver 2 on the depth chart, who's listed, who's underneath.
You do, of course. And I get it. Yeah.
Of course. But I have a question for you, Miles.
Sure.
The fact that, and this is how I feel, the fact that we drafted Kyle Pitts so high, I mean, like we've been saying, it's a running joke. We didn't draft him high to block. Do you feel like he should be the focal point of our offense, like a Kelsey with a Pat Mahomes type ordeal? Like, because we drafted him so high, and he's such this unicorn or whatever. And I think personally, I no knock on Drake, but I think Kyle is the number 1. It should be the number 1 target in our offense.
This new offense,
and Drake should complement that, and then everybody else will fall into place. What's your thoughts on that?
And to add a question to that, is he going to be the highest tight end paid in the league soon?
You could ask that later, but go ahead.
Well, I think it's all what we see this year, right? I think I think most Falcons fans would sort of argue that sentiment that, yeah, Kyle should be the number one option. You're drafting a tight end 4th overall with his skill set, what he brings to the table. He should be your number one option, even above Drake London. I think there's a very strong argument for that. But you got to keep in mind what all we've seen from Kyle Pitts. We saw him 1 year under a entirely different offense with Matt Ryan and other players, with a bunch of other guys there. You saw him with just a handful of games with Marcus Mariota, who struggled heavily to get him the ball.
Sure did.
And that's it. That's all you saw. You haven't even seen what he can do with Desmond Ridder yet. You saw what Desmond did to Drake London's production. That's one guy. I mean, Drake's production went up almost 1,000% statistically when Desmond took over as starting quarterback. Now you add in 2 huge threats that Kyle Pitts never played with Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. Just think about that. Those are 2 guys that were never even a factor when Kyle Pitts was on the field. You could argue Drake London wasn't even as much of a factor when Kyle Pitts was on the field. When the last time Kyle saw the field, he was what most defenses probably classified as their only option offensively. Now that he's coming back, this offense has completely changed, completely new identity, completely new players. So I'm extremely excited to see how he's used now, because you can't just load the box with Kyle Pitts anymore. Now you've got other guys that you got to keep an eye on. Before it was just Kyle. Now it's completely changed.
Yeah.
Falcon fans, going to the chat here. Lisa Shepard has a question for you, Miles. Do we know how Pitt's recovery is going? The Falcons haven't really said anything about it. Will he be 100% when the regular season starts?
From our last update, he is completely on schedule, and he should be next to, if not 100%, around training camp. Do I think that he will be, big participant in preseason training camp? I doubt it, because why? You already know what he can do. I feel like he's a guy that they'll take every precaution to make sure he's 100% for. But I expect him to be ready for game 1.
Justin Newman got a question here, and then I got another question for you, Miles. He said, if we don't sign Evans, do we go pick up a veteran like Justin Houston or any other free agents out there? Well, that's kind of like 2 different positions there too as well, because Evans is more of your middle linebacker and Houston's more of your edge rusher. I think we got like 9 edge rushers in the building right now, plus whoever's going to be coming here with the walk-ons. I think that spot next to Troy is what I'm looking at, because, I mean, you got Ebiketie, Malone, Carter, Campbell, Dupree. So much going to be going on in that defense. And then you look at the middle where it's like, you probably have to go bring back Evans. I mean, it's just Troy Anderson, Michael Walker. Who is behind them on the roster right now, Miles? Do you know?
See, that's the thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like,
go ahead.
I wouldn't. We haven't seen Michael Walker. We don't know what Ryan Nielsen thinks about Michael Walker. Like, Michael Walker is a very talented, athletic linebacker, athletically gifted linebacker, and from the sediment, the first look, it looks like he would fit greatly into what Nielsen wants. So, I mean, I wouldn't write Walker off, but I mean, he just, he needs his refinement. He missed tackles. He gets shook out his cleats sometimes, but like, it's
I also just pulled up the roster here. There's some names I completely forgot to mention.
Okay.
You bring back Lorenzo Carter. I mean,
that's right. Lorenzo Carter's there too as well.
That's a huge addition there. You've also got Tay Davis, who you added. That's another name.
Yep. I think he's playing more inside too as well from Cleveland.
You've got Nate Landman, another guy that's up there. Again, there's a lot of depth. You have so many options there right now.
Yeah.
Falcon fans, bring your questions, bring your comments to the chat as we get ready to wrap up the show here. Miles, quick question for you. Terry talked about the hostile environment being in the Benz. Falcon fans, last year in attendance, I think we did good. We was winning some home games, so people was there, they're energized, was having a good time. But we went to Seattle, Miles. We saw the Seahawks fan base. I went to Cincinnati. I seen the Bengals fan base, and I've seen some hostile environments. What do you think, in your opinion, does the Falcons need to do, or what does Mercedes-Benz Stadium need to do to help create more of that hostile environment? Is it the fans, or can the Falcons help out? I mean, we go to New Orleans, Bodie. Remember, they playing the song when they score. Then they got the other
same
song,
3 songs.
then
Same 3
the
songs.
team
back
chant,
back
and then the songs. Like, you get this in so many stadiums, and then when the Falcons score, it's like train horn. All right, back to the kickoff. I mean, is there more that the Falcons or the stadium can do to help create this hostile environment? We want to see this Benz rocking and rolling. Fans saying we have to win games. I've been to cities where teams haven't been that good in the NFL, and they still have a packed stadium. So what is just your opinion about this hostile environment thing here, Miles?
Yeah, I mean, I think wins are the ultimate solution to anything. I mean, ever since they've moved into MBS, they haven't necessarily been a very competitive team. I mean, those early years, right after they went to the Super Bowl, they were still a playoff team. But I mean, it's another thing where wins is the ultimate solution. I think the stadium has really done everything they can. You have sort of those fan sections there. That's sort of similar to what Atlanta United does. But again, you've got to show them something, and you got to show a direction. And I think casual fans weren't necessarily aware of what the direction was the last 2 seasons. I think people like us, those who actually pay attention to schematics and what they're doing and the adding and not adding of free agency. I mean, your average NFL fan has, and we've seen this, has no clue what the Falcons are doing. They want Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson sells tickets. They want to see excitement. That's what the casual NFL fan who lives in Atlanta and going to games wants to see. So if you start winning, they'll be back in the seats.
3,000.
I think we got a lot of casual Atlanta fans too. They just know that the defense. That's the thing. They said the defense was, they didn't pay attention to free agency, so they see that we got to get somebody out the draft. Like that's my thing. I think the actual they really got to put the numbers together in the free agency. Of course, we didn't pick up a big name or whatnot, but you think that same committee of defensive players should work here, like in Ryan Nielsen's system. I mean, he brought in his players, and it should work that same way. I don't know if y'all agree or not, but I think it's just bigger than just having a sack artist. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, it's better to have a complete team than individual effort. I mean, 2016, Vic Beasley, he was the only guy getting sacks that year. I mean, Dwight Freeney did a couple things
here and there.
For his age, granted, but I'd much rather see Arnold Ebiketie get 4 to 5 sacks and Lorenzo Carter have 3 more. And then Calais Campbell also has 4. I don't need one guy to have 12, 13 sacks. I'd love to see a bunch of guys that have 4 to 5.
Miles, this new defensive line, Grady Jarrett, does he break his sack record this year?
What is his personal record?
I think it's 6.5.
6.5, right?
6.5.
I think he does.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to him.
I love it.
Drake London, full season with Ritter, 1,000 yards or more.
Oh, easily 1,000 yards. If he stays healthy, he's his favorite target. They were roommates. They were buddies. They came in together. They already have that built-in chemistry. 1,000 yards is a given. He's going to get that. I think I'm curious how many touchdowns Drake scores.
Tight end 3, 4, and 3 and 4. If they want to run 4 tight ends, is it Franks on the roster? Is it Hesse?
Oh goodness.
Now, if you can't give it away, I know because you're working on your projects and you have a lot of things going on with Fox 5. So I don't want to, if you got any information you want to put out there, you want to keep it for something later. I mean, I'm just trying to go over the roster.
I'm sure he's not holding anything back about Felipe Franks.
I just want to know what Miles thinks about the roster just going forward a little bit here, just in certain, positions teams.
I will say this. The Atlanta Falcons love Felipe Franks. I will end it there.
I don't know why.
That's all I'll say.
I told fans that too as well. Going into the preseason, you have 2 quarterbacks. You're going to add one so that way you don't play too much of Ritter or Heineke, or are they going to try to get 3 games out of both of them?
I think
I want to see Ritter healthy, but I don't want to make sure you play him. All these quarters.
I think you'll see a little bit of Desmond. Desmond will play a good bit, I think, because I think he just needs some reps himself. I do think you add another guy to hold on the practice squad that we'll see kind of get probably a majority of the preseason snaps, because Taylor Heineke has shown what he can do in the NFL. So I think we'll see one of those, undrafted free agents, a guy who can just kind of hold it down on the practice squad, who will get most of those reps.
There was an article that was posted earlier. I think Falcons Twitter was passing it around about Falcons picking 3rd in next year's draft. And of course, they're already starting to hate on us, man. And it says that we're picking Drake May from North Carolina. What would just your thoughts be about that, Miles, where the draft is over now? And of course, the first article that Falcon fans start sharing is somebody posting that the Falcons will be picking third next year off of the draft and the free agency going into camp. I mean, should Falcon fans be worrying about those type of things right now? Because some fans do feed off of that and say, look, guys, you see, draft grade was a C. Their overall ranking in the draft was like 32nd. Like, what do you your thoughts about that? Falcon fans, they do get caught up on that, Miles.
Oh, I'm gonna look into the camera right now. Falcons fans.
Hold on. Let me get you. Hold on, let me get you.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Stop it. Do not look at 2024 mock drafts. We just finished looking at mock drafts for months now. I don't want to see one, and this team will not be picking in the top 5. All right, you can take me out. That's all I have to say. I am so sick of seeing mock drafts, and I don't need to see a mock draft that's still a year away. That being said, there's no way this team will be picking in the top 5 with the roster currently constructed. If this team was able to have 7 wins with the roster they've had the last 2 years, something will have had to have gone astronomically wrong
and improved in a major way. When I think last year they told, but what Bodie, what was it, 3 games who was supposed to win?
They said 2. Some said 2.
Some said 2.
It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Falcon fans, we're getting ready to wrap up this show here. Miles, looking at the roster, I think Ben Wade asked the question earlier. See if I can go back up here because Ben Wade is a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan. And want to make sure we get his question in here. Where you at, Ben? Where you at, Ben? Got you. There it is. Ben Wade. Miles, Falcons record this year. I know it's early. I know there can be some more moves being made. Looking at the roster, we still don't know who the 53 is.
Wait, can I pause that? Can I pause that real quick? I actually have to. Can you give me just 1 second? I have to run and get something super quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, definitely. Bodie 3000. Ben Wade posed the question to you then as Miles is getting ready to come back. This is so cool. Miles the GOAT stepping away. Emmy nominated Miles Garrett stepping away on One Time for the Fan podcast. How cool is this, Falcons fans? Ben Wade to you, Bodie. Falcons record this year. Just looking so far at the draft, the offseason, the free agents, the moves being made. People want to know, Bodie, what's your thoughts on the Falcons record before we go ahead and get up out of here?
17-0. No. I'll be
we did predict that last year on every podcast, though. Every time we
did we said we were going to win this.
We never said we lost the game.
What the hell I look like sitting here saying that we're going to lose, but I mean, in regards to being realistic in the the record, I'll say 12-5.
12-5 will win you the division
easily. I don't think any team will touch that in the division.
Bodie, the question goes to you and for the chat too as well. Justin Newman with winning 12 games. Sterling Woods with I can see 11-game win.
See, we're on the same page.
Jags fan in here.
He's a hater, man.
This guy he finds a way to sneak up into the chat, man.
Man. Here's the Rudy Poo Jags, bro.
11-6 from Harold Poole. Lisa Shepard with the schedule release is coming soon.
Can't wait.
Bodie, from the draft and the moves that we've made so far going forward in this division, do any of the teams scare you right now with looking at their rosters? I mean, we saw Carolina pick up the rookie. We saw what the Saints did. We saw what the Bucks did. I mean, are we still favored to win the division in your opinion, Bodie? Just what we done in the offseason?
I mean, yeah, like you said, Carolina's working with a rookie, and yeah, they gave him a little weapons and whatnot, and they still got a little defense to work with, but they're going through some growing pains, as will us, because we kind of technically have a rookie as well. The Saints, I guess they're more seasoned, so most folks are going to say that they're the division favorite with the Carr, Derek Carr being a seasoned veteran and all that. And that other team, the Bucks, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Mayfield isn't it to me. Oh, he's not it. But, I mean, they're not going to be total under the, just trash. Mayfield showed that he can ball. He showed it when he was on the Rams, and he came in and played, signed, and 2 days later was winning games for them. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough division, but I mean, being biased and not biased, we're going to win the division. We're going to win it.
Miles, last question goes to you here from Ben Wade. Falcons record this year. You're probably going to answer this a million times in the next week because everybody wants to know the Falcons record because people love to get excited about the season just hearing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But what do you think so far? Looking at the roster, the draft moves, the free agency, right now, May 1st, what would you say the Falcons' record could be? And the schedule is coming out May 11th, so it's right around the corner. We know the teams that we play, and I'm sure, Miles, have you followed any of the other teams, Houston, Indianapolis,
Yes.
the moves that they made? Some teams did improve, some teams did not improve. So we're not playing some very tough teams this year too, as well. In my opinion, you got the Colts, you got the Jags, you got the Titans, you got the Bears, you got the Packers. I mean, I think these are some teams that the Falcons can compete against, especially that we upgraded. But what about your record this year, Miles? What do you think?
I will say that these teams will not be as bad as you think. There'll be some teams out of that group you mentioned that will be better than we think they'll actually be. Will some of those teams be bad? I'm sure. But I think like the Falcons, there's going to be some teams that are quietly, they have a plan in place and will be a little bit better than we give them credit for. That being said, I will go with a conservative answer for now for that question. I will say we've been 7-10 the last 2 years. They're going to go 10-7 this year. So just
Falcon
flip
fans.
it around.
You see us winning the division?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it is the Falcons' division to lose.
Wild card game, or do you see us hosting a game here at the Benz the following week? We're waiting a week after.
Well, division.
If we win the division, we don't play wild card. Right.
Well, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm sure. I'm sorry.
No, I feel like you do. You host the wild card.
No, if you're third, if you're first and second in league standings, right, with the NFC side, with the NFC.
I should know this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because come on, Bodie.
I should know this, dude.
I should know this.
Come on, Bodie. I mean, if we win the division and we're third, don't we go on? Do we go on the road, or do we have the home game? We have the home game, right?
If we win the division, we definitely have a home game. Like the first, I want to say it's the first game. We play the
top two teams have the bye, correct?
Absolutely. So we play a lower seed, and we'll have the home game as a division winner. I do know that.
Okay.
But I don't know if we play wild card games.
Falcon fans, glad that y'all can be here today. Oh, Michael Nelm says first team gets the bye.
We got super wild card weekend now. Like it's crazy. The rules have changed.
Too many teams are allowed in now.
Yeah, it's the rules have changed. So yeah, I mean, chat, help us out.
Everybody's confusing the chat. Everybody's look. Uncle Steve's in here. He said rules just changed. Only number one gets by. Everyone else played first week. I could have heard there was some rule change to this. That's why I was trying to find out what's going on here. Well, Falcon fans, we'll definitely get to the bottom of it.
We'll get back with you.
We will.
Miles will tweet you the answer.
Yeah, we have the Falconator on Wednesday. The Falconator just came back from Vegas, and he went viral for his draft pick when he went up there and announced it. And I guess somebody yelled out 28-3 in the crowd, and
we haven't heard
had a response with him.
Yeah. I stood up and I applauded. Oh my God.
My boy Vinny, man. It's been so many years, man. Like we're gonna hear that for a long time, right, Miles? I mean, it's until you win a championship. I mean, they're gonna talk about it for
until the championship is won. 28-3 will always live.
Yeah.
And even after, there's gonna be some ignorant people still.
People will still say it.
Emmy nominated Miles Garrett. We know you're gonna win. What do you have coming up with Fox 5? What do you have coming up right now? What you have going on in your day-to-day? And where can everybody find you on social media? Because people love retweeting you on Twitter and screenshotting you, posting you in the groups, everything that you say about the Atlanta Falcons or when you cover the Braves. Anything you do, Miles, like you're the GOAT. So where can we find you? Tell us a little bit more about you on social media and so forth.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words, guys. It's actually sort of going to be the quietest time of the year for sports from now up until July, I'd say, because Hawks basketball's over. Falcons you don't have draft anymore. So now all we really got is Braves. So, and Braves beginning of the season doesn't really matter anyway. So it's probably the quietest it's going to be for some time, but things will certainly pick back up again in July. But if you guys want to see my stuff, Post a lot of stuff on Twitter at Miles Garrett TV. I also started to post a lot more on my Instagram at Miles M Garrett. So that's where you can find most of my stuff there. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much my two platforms where I post all Falcons and work related content.
How does it feel about the Emmy nomination? I mean, that's pretty big right here. I mean, this is Bodie, we have an Emmy nominated journalist on our pod. This is big, Falcons fans, right? You didn't pay for that blue check. This is real. This is real.
I do appreciate that. I will say I feel free to roast me for it. I did pay for my current one because it allows me to post longer videos. So as a journalist, it does help what I do per se. So it does help me post that. So feel free to roast me. I know I'm one of those guys that pays for it.
We don't roast.
We need to roast Twitter for doing that. Like, why did they switch it up,
right?
man? I don't know.
We got some Falcon players. I think,
but I will say it's a sacrifice for the Falcons fans because the whole reason I bought it is so I can post longer Falcons videos. So me and Victor Prieto, one of the other Falcons producers, we're going to be starting not a podcast per se, but sort of a more in-depth social media friendly segment in regards to Falcons players to maybe get to know them a little bit better. So that's something to look forward to. So yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
Anything you can do, Miles, to just bring more of the Falcons players or the coaching staff or anything just more to light with the Falcons fans, because people feel like, certain media outlets, they don't show too much of the Falcons. I think ESPN, you saw when the draft coverage was going on, they went to commercial. They wasn't showing the Falcons fan base in the crowd. And fans were talking about this in groups. Like just the disrespect that we get, even the media counting out Desmond Ridder so early, saying that we need Lamar Jackson. You have to get Lamar Jackson. Certain things that we've seen. So anything you can do over there at Fox 5 to keep bringing that Falcons coverage, Braves coverage, everything. Bodie knows this. We trying to keep Atlanta. And we need more of the diehards to just, start popping out more. So diehards like you, Miles, who's working for Fox 5, you're in that position that can give, all the content to Falcons fans, whether it's a podcast, on the news, however, or Instagram, Twitter spaces, wherever you can. Falcon fans are just excited to just see and hear something until that ball touches the field in the fall. So, Miles, man, I really appreciate everything you do, man, and thank you for joining us for our 100th show, man. Really, really, real talk, man. Like, for real.
You're humble. Thank you, brother.
It's a pleasure, man. Y'all, the best one I've hopped on, so it's the feeling's mutual.
I appreciate it, man. And now the schedule, this is the last one, then we're out of here. Schedule's going to drop soon. I know you might be on the road doing anything with Fox 5. Have you thought about any games that might be in your back pocket right now? What are you thinking right now? What are you looking at?
I'm going to look up the schedule again real quick because I remember looking at it the other day. I will say
you have it. Oh, you have it.
No, not the actual one. Not the actual one. The teams.
Did you try to get a scoop?
I mean, I was going to cut the podcast off. We're going to be just saying, let's find out what's going on.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
No, I'll have to look at the opponents, not the schedule.
We have. Go ahead. Yeah,
but I will say I do enjoy New York just because I like going to New York. It's pretty cool. So probably the Jets. And it appears Jets, Twitter, and I already have an animosity with one another. I seem to have made them very mad last year by accident. So maybe
and
that one.
You tagged the Mets today too, as well, didn't you?
Oh,
from
a
2020,
they can't keep hitting my boy. All right.
Yeah, that was some. Oh my!
I'm tired of Ronnie getting hit by baseballs.
Yo.
Oh man, but yeah, let's see here. Away we've got. Let's see. Chicago would be cool. Let's see. Detroit. Yep. I've never been to New Orleans.
You've never been to New Orleans?
Wow. Never been to New Orleans.
Bodie.
Wow.
Does he know what the RiseUp tour does in New Orleans?
I've never been.
The whole vibe. The whole vibe
can,
of just
If you want to bring Fox 5 out and see what we do on the road now, you'll be surprised of how many Falcon fans travel and what we've done.
As long as they send me, it's up to them.
Oh, hey man, let me tell you something, Bodie. You saw New Orleans last year, man. We packed the entire venue out from the street to inside. We couldn't even move, man. The line was going around the corner. It was just, man, we have Bourbon Street on lock. Bodie, your thoughts just quickly on that Rise Up tour party, man, so Miles can just get prepared for New Orleans this year.
I mean, yeah, it's just a different. Of course, it's probably our biggest rivalry. I mean, it's the biggest thing ever. So, Miles, I suggest you get a sticky note and write something on that sticky note and slip it in the suggestion box for New Orleans, because it's a great time, man. I had so much fun going to this game. So, yeah,
absolutely. Hey, yeah, tag Fox5. Tell them to take me. More the better.
Absolutely.
Miles, from Carrie, from Diane, Archangel, everybody here in the chat, all the Falcon fans, we really do thank you for being a part of this show tonight. And we will definitely get you on somewhere, some point later on in the season, or before the season starts. Or I'll probably see you at training camp when it's open to the public. I'm sure you'll be up there as well.
I will be there. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know how it is. Falcon fans, I saw that picture that you saw on my Facebook page too as well. That's me and Miles in Seattle. Fans were like, how the hell y'all? What was y'all doing that day?
Yeah.
He probably was more
sky miles up. Huh?
He probably was more excited to see you on the field. Like, hey, what you doing here?
Miles was on the other side. Miles is a real one, right? Miles, you were on the other side of the field, right? Doing your coverage. I sent Miles a text. It's like, hey, bro, I'm over here on the field. I'm down here by the Falcons sideline. He's like, where you at? Like, put my hand up over here. All right, I'm on the way. Miles comes walking up. It's like, bro, this is real deal, man. Miles the GOAT. You gotta love those moments, man. Because especially when you're in Seattle, you know what I'm saying? We had Miles on the podcast earlier that year, so it was like, we love having Miles here on the show, man, for real.
It's a pleasure. I really do appreciate that, guys. It's really nice of y'all.
Miles, we gotta go ahead and wrap this up, man. I thank you for everything. We'll see you back on the podcast, brother, and we'll definitely be following you on social media. Everybody, all the Falcon fans, go follow Miles on social media, Twitter, Instagram. He got a lot of content he's gonna be bringing to you all, either from his platform or from Fox5. So just please stay tuned for what Miles got in the bag. And congratulations on the Emmy nomination. Now go win that thing, man. Invite me to the after party. I got my red and black tux over here. I'll be ready to go, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Falcon fans. That is the great Miles Garrett on the podcast, talking Falcons football with us. So please go follow Miles on social media. I think he's getting ready to start a small kind of podcast, I believe, with Victor. I don't want to miss Predato. I believe he says his last name was. I don't want to.
Yeah, I forget it.
It's not Ogundeji, so I ain't got to worry about it. It took me about 5-6 months to get that one down.
Yeah, you might have to rewind. Maybe go back about 10 minutes, I think, when he was talking about that. But yeah.
Thank you, Lisa Shepard. Thank you to everybody who joined us for our 100th
that's
episode
the thing, though,
One Time for the Fan.
This how we do it. 100. Cheers to 100 more. Cheers to 1,000 more. Like, we gonna get it in, man. We here for y'all. And cheers for me not being drunk. I should have been drunk.
So I wanted to talk about that quickly. I was sipping lightly with the Tito's. It wasn't heavy, right? But every time Miles is on the podcast, right, you just you gotta get comfortable and lay back. But then he's Emmy nominated. I had to get,
bro.
Emmy nominated, bro.
Because I went on Out of Your Falcon Mind podcast. Mike was throwing me these questions, and I'm like, bro, I'm too drunk for this shit, man.
They get you thinking, man. Different platforms. Mike with the questions. Mike and John with the way they do.
Shout out to them. Shout out to Out of Your Falcon Mind.
Big Low Country, the way he comes in here and how he expresses his views about the Falcons. How we had Smitty on here, Lieutenant Dan, so many Falcon fans. Scott Karisic. So we've done well, Falcons fans, when it comes to bringing special guests. And Miles just so kind for him to take the time out of his day. And he is busy. He's Emmy nominated.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. We had our first Emmy. I'm selling the show. Selling the show right now. Fuck this shit. I'm selling the show.
You might get CBS? $10 for it. I'll buy it for you for $10.
Yeah, CBS. 100,000. 100,000 show.
100,000 a show? Shit. Yep. All right, well. Let me get my suit and tie from Goodwill.
Sheesh. We go live every Sunday and Wednesday now. Falcon fans from all over, we thank you. Jarnell says, when I'm gonna be on the show. When you take that silly ass
the next time
jersey
of
off.
Never. Sorry ass Jags. Get off my screen. Get that guy off my screen.
No joint practice this year, young fella.
Yeah.
And take you behind the Dallas.
Yeah, still ain't gonna get that authentic jersey signed. He don't want to. Trevor, what's his name? Don't want to sign that shit. Trevor, get him out of here.
Falcon
Nope.
fans, Falcon fans,
Only
Falcon fans.
kids only.
We do thank y'all. Our 100th show. I can't believe this time or around this time last year, me and Bodie was starting up, doing our 12-hour podcast for the weekend of the draft coverage.
And I was a mute. I was just like,
we didn't know what to expect. We're doing 12 hours of draft coverage. We covered first day, second day, and third day. But now we did the first day, and then we just did the draft recap report with Miles Garrett. And it's just a good feeling because we're going to do 100 more shows. We're going to bring more content.
We should have made, Chase, we should have pulled Chase out that well in Baxley and made him do some shorts on the some more draft recap shorts.
I didn't want Miles to know that we be on like the roasting session in here, but there was some people roasting you in the chat. I saw some people in there. Chase jumped in with some roast. I think Sterling Wood said something about you had some shingles taken down, and Chase wanted to go get him with something. It was a couple people in here. I think Jeff Wolf dropped that hair product joke.
Oh yeah, so, he did. Yeah.
A couple people was in here dropping you one. Maurice Booman Taylor.
Oh yeah. Everybody, put your ones up, bro.
Put your ones up. One time for the fan.
And let me see them one
emoji too. If you want to use the one or put the actual emoji with the one up. Hashtag one timers. Hashtag the fan club. We're on the way to 400 subscribers. Then we're going to be on the way to 500 and more. We got a lot of coverage coming up this year, and we got great guests like Miles Garrett joining the podcast. We're going to try to bring as best content as we can to you all. So please tune in. Wednesday's episode will be back. There it is right there. Archangel, there it is right there. Put them in the chat. Hashtag one timers. Hashtag the fan club. Put the ones in the chat. One time for the fan. You can join our Facebook group. One time for the Atlanta Falcons. Shout out to everybody who's been a part of our 100 episodes. We have so many special guests. Bodie, I think we're well over 25, maybe 30 special guests close to the season. We had a lot of Falcon fans. We had an Emmy-nominated Miles Garrett. Like, let me tell you something. We had Miles Garrett when he wasn't Emmy-nominated, then Miles Garrett when he is Emmy-nominated, and then he's getting ready to go win the Emmy. So next time when we get on here with Miles Garrett, it's going to be Emmy award-winning Miles Garrett on the podcast. Can you imagine that? Selling the show.
Shout out to Miles Garrett.
Selling the show. One time for the fan, Justin Newman. You got them. Where did Ghost Finger come from? Where does that come from?
Yeah, that's Casper.
Signed by your mascot. The mascot signed the back of his jersey. Put T-Law on the back. The Jaguars mascot ain't got nothing going on over there. Raymond Collins, False Star Falcon, Lisa Shepard. But shout out to all the special guests. We'll be back with another big special guest, the Falconator.
Yes.
On Wednesday. He will be joining us talking Falcons football. He went to the draft. He's now gone viral. Falconator, text me. I will tell the story on Wednesday. Text me at 3 a.m. because I was up playing Call of Duty.
Tell the story now.
I was up playing Call of Duty, and Falconator texted me that the Falcons had sent him a message that they were going to put him on the draft floor. He was excited.
Yeah.
The next morning he woke up. Less than 48 hours later, he went viral. We're going to find out how he went viral. And so let's talk about it, y'all.
It was just so organic. It happened so organic. You can tell it's just him. Like that was just him. That was all him. He wasn't trying to be funny. He wasn't nothing. He just he really that came from the soul. That was all of us. He spoke for every single Falcon fan breathing. So shout out to Falconators, man.
Shout out to the Falconator.
I can't wait to have him on the show.
He got a lot to talk about too as well. We tried to get him on at last year's draft in Vegas, couldn't get him on. Now he done went viral. We get him on in this year's draft. Lisa Shepard said saw him in KC. A group of us had lunch at a barbecue spot. The Falconator did his thing. Yeah, Boo Man said, "Tell them to send some gold stars." Yeah, jeez. So yeah, on the Facebook, there's a system you can send stars. I don't know what it is, but you can send stars. So you'll see how it is. That's so Vinny. It is. Oh, Falcon fans, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. We'll be back talking Falcons football with the Falconator. Have a lot going on. Esports. Bodie, any shout-outs before we go ahead and get up out of here, sir?
Man, yeah. Shout out all the one-timers, man. Shout out to all y'all, man. Y'all been here. Y'all been supporting, man. Been trying to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Don't so I don't be rambling up in here. But, man, just shout out for your continued support. Shout out to 100 episodes. Shout out to that, bro. Like that's we ain't said it enough. I don't think we said it enough. This is the 100 episode. I know we didn't go big and all like One out of your Falcon Mind, they went extravaganza. They
had
on
like
for
100 guests on there
too.
for their 100 show.
They had 1 million guests, and they was on for like 3
I think
hours.
they still have guests on the show like
hey,
right
man,
now.
it's still going. Yeah, a week later. But
Die-hard Falcon
shout
fans,
out to those guys, man.
Yeah, big shout out to all the content creators.
Yeah, all of them. It's so many. But yeah. And yeah, just shout out to us, man. Shout out to Chase for freaking painting my chimney. I needed that. I mean, good God. It was rusty.
Falcon
Probably
fans,
like his drinking water.
We lit. We are live once again. Thank you. Sheesh. Thank you to Miles Garrett for everything he has done here to help with the podcast.
I'm too raw for this show.
Or 5 times. It is raw and uncut. I mean, it's one time for the fans. One time we're fans, you're fans. Ain't nobody sign us. We good. We can talk about anything we want to. So we'll see y'all on Wednesday. It's a lot going on with the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll be back Wednesday to talk about it. Out of your Falcon Mind is in the building. So shout out to y'all for bringing something unique to our community 100 straight times. I love y'all, boy. That's Mike. Mike is in the building from Out of Your Falcon Mind. We're going to get them soon on the show. We got Damon Deuce soon coming up on the show. The Falcon is coming up on the show. We got Eric Parker coming up on the show. I'm trying to get DeMario A. Scott coming up on the show. I'm trying to get D-Led back on the show. Not back on the show, on the show. So many people coming up here when it comes to one time.
Shout out to you, Mike, for just being uniquely yourself.
Going down.
So shout out to you, brother.
Shout out to Out of Your Falcon Mind, Big One Country Sports. Everybody's coming up on the show this year. You never know. We might even get the Falcoholic. Shout out, tag Aaron Freeman. Let's get Aaron Freeman on the show. Let's get everybody on the show. Hell, let's get Coke Smith and Terry Fontenot on the show. One time for the fan is for the fan. We'll see y'all Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Shout out to Emmy-nominated Miles Garrett. I hope we get Emmy-nominated. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm selling the show. So one time for the fan. Be back on Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Holla.
Man, you didn't give me no stock. I should have bought some stock.